Hello and welcome to another Bulblog video diary garden walk. We're looking at the snowdrops that have jumped up. This time last week the garden was covered in snow and in a deep freeze. That was all swept away virtually overnight when a mild front came through with rain, and we had rain and rain and rain, and it just washed all the snow away. But underneath the snow, the snowdrops and the Eranthis, so you can see a wee Eranthis seeding around here. They're popping up everywhere. There's more down there. So they seed around, but these plants actually grew under the snow. And when the snow went, it was more or less the starting gun for them to accelerate into growth. And indeed, we've gone from virtually just a few bits here and there in the course of a week to them sitting up with the birds singing above us. So it's a very different weather, as I say. There's still a lot of clearing up, of course. The bad weather's prevented me getting the last of the leaves up. In the next few weeks, when the weather's right, I'll get the paths cleared, the leaves tidied, and the garden licked into shape for the mass onslaught of spring. So let's just have a look around at some of the other plants. If we swing round, you can see white being the dominant. But there are some other colours here. We have one of the many hellebores popping up, and they're coming through as well. The soft green leaves of the autumn flowering colchicums, contrasting with the blue-grey of those of the snowdrops. Of course, there's lots of different clones of snowdrops here, but I don't keep track of the names in the garden. I just enjoy them for what they are. You can see the different scales. So if we come down here, you've got little tiny ones here, just about the length of my finger. And if you compare those, I just pan back to the giants by comparison behind it. And there's all sorts of different ones. These have got quite long inners. These are big nice flowers. And of course they're scented. I can also see up there fat buds of the Fritillaria imperialis pushing through as well. And the Eranthis seeding around. Finding here the very first signs as well of some of the Corydalis leaves, and Corydalis caucasica here in the foreground here. Some narcissus coming through, and some leucogyms. So the garden's really, as I say, wakening up, and we're all the plants taking advantage of the weather, and the children down the road as well. We're all taking advantage of the weather because we've been locked in for a few days between the COVID lockdown and the terribly cold, snowy weather. We're all taking the advantage of getting outside. The Eranthis seed around as well, and I'm quite sure they move. I'm quite sure the Eranthis hyemalis, where the big clumps were this year, may not be where they are next year. It's the advancing seedlings that survive, and I'm quite sure that's the best way to keep this plant going in your garden, is to allow it to seed around. And gradually it's moving. So we have different, a lot of the snowdrops are Galanthus nivalis. There's a shiny leaf one there, Warrenoi. And of course there's Plicatus. But Aloisi is not the best one in our garden. It's the one that doesn't really survive outside very well. Cyclamen's coming up as well, the leaves. Of course we had the flowers in the sort of late summer and into the autumn last year. So as we spin around you can see the garden, the frames where the erythroniums will be coming soon. There's few little plants coming. One here is out. This little hepatica, a white form, it's always the first. But down in there you'll see nice buds of other hepaticas, big fat ones coming, so a lot more to come. In the raised bed, still waiting to be tidied up. Here we have a Crocus abantensis poking through. In this raised beds, where I've been planting quite a lot of the bulbs in recent years, try and put some early interest. Here's interestingly, Eranthis Guinea Gold this year is coming up much the same time as the other form, the Hyamalis. I love the way they come through, and Guinea Gold with that lovely bronzy gold foliage and stems is particularly attractive. So let's just have a wander around and see what else we can pick up. The bonsais, of course, sit there close to the house where we can see them, are always of interest. Down in the cobble bed, again, these have all popped up. Some crocus here, possibly a imparati, and some of the little different forms of snowdrops. So we've got the yellow types and those with the green markings on their outers. Crocus 30N is popping up through everywhere. And on up more Eranthis. Another area where the snowdrops are pushing up. You can see the different forms. A lot of these in this bed are plicatus hybrids that came from Brecon Castle. And also along here we've got some more different yellow ones. Some with yellow markings and yellow ovaries. Another group of Warrenoi down here. And you just get the sweeps. This will gradually fill out as more and more of the snowdrops, and the leucodiums will come as well. And then the hellebores and these beds, all this area where you just see the brown of the leaf mulch, will disappear under growth and colour in the coming weeks and months. Here's a lovely big snowdrop. I do know this one, it's Glenorma. It's a really good, robust snowdrop. One of the Glen Chantry ones. You can see how well Galanthus Warrenoi does. It pops around. It's everywhere. Flowering really well this year. Another group there. There's a really dense clump of Galanthus nivalis pushing there that really should be divided, as should these forms of Warrenoi. But it becomes problematic to divide, because how do I dig them up when there's so much else? Here's a whole other bunch of buds pushing through here. Not even sure what that is at the moment. There's so many things that I plan to forget, or have been here for so long, or we've seeded around. This is the thrill of a garden, that you see these things and think, what's that? And I'll have to wait a wee while until it develops a bit more, and then suddenly it will reveal itself to me and I'll remember what it is. Leucojum, the Podpalozzi form. And just more snowdrops as they disappear up. Oh yes, snowdrops. Looking over. Again, as I say, this area, the Corydalis will come through and all the rest of the plants. Here we have, somebody's not very happy down the road. More snowdrops and more buds pushing here. I see some irises coming. So really it is a blanket of white. With the yellow of the Eranthis coming. More and more Eranthis shooting through. And we spring round to the sand bed, which has quickly become the moss bed, much beloved by the cyclamen comb, which is really establishing itself well in this bed, and I love it looking really natural with the moss seeding around. And after all the years we've tried to establish this in the garden, this is the area where it's really taken and is enjoying itself. If I look down here, there's a whole batch. Look, a whole batch of seedlings seeding into the moss, and the variation in the leaves and how it contrasts so beautifully with the moss. Just spin round here to the frame. Some more snowdrops, some we've recently got or building up. Most of these will go into the garden. Down here I just want to show you the Eranthis pinnatifida. Oh, it's just such a beauty. It's a tiny plant. And there's a lot more of us growing it now, which is good. But it was very rare. These are pink forms, different forms. Much nicer than, well, not nicer, but different. And when they're growing well, they'll have a secondary flower coming, as well as a primary flower. And if you look down, you can see two different clones, so different spots of seedlings. The slight variation. So this one's a lot pinker. It's got that slight bronziness in the foliage, and this one's softer green foliage. The Bursa. And this is a pot of seedlings from that one along there, the little pink one along there. They are so delicate. Although they're small, if people wonder why we get so excited about them, just look at that little flower and look at that wonder of nature, that colour combination of shapes and forms. Something going on. This is a pot of seedlings here, but I've got some great big seedling off of, looks like a grunling seedling in there as well, so that will be split out later and I'll separate them out. It's perfectly hardy. Often when these plants are so tiny, people cherish them and grow them in pots and greenhouses, and I can tell you, you're far more likely to kill them that way than you are just leaving them out. These have been out under the snow, in the cold, they've been frozen solid, and we've also got them in the garden. The reason I keep some in pots is so I can get seed and build them up, because getting a nice pot of seedlings like this that we can look down and see the pinker pinker colours is really the way to do it. And they're perfectly hardy, so get them out and enjoy them. And just to finish off, I've ended up at one of the bulb houses in the sand beds. These were frozen solid just over a week ago, and then this week I had to water them, and the growth's coming. There's all sorts, and even in here we've got some crocus. Oops, sorry about zooming, I didn't mean to push that. Crocus atticus, and a whole range of different little narcissus. So we've got little sort of bulbicodium-ish types, and then little ramoxia types with their flowers looking straight upwards. All sorts, so many different ones, but I think that's probably a video in itself, looking around all the small plants coming, more and more crocus coming in here as well, so I think that's a video in itself. So I'm going to finish off just with a view across the garden that in a few weeks time, or a month or so, depending on how the weather comes, will be a riot of foliage and colour. So thanks for being with me again on this walk. I'll be back in a few weeks, or when there's more to show you. Bye for now.